So I guess I've settled on prayer. I have a friend who isn't a Christian, and she was wondering, how do you pray? And I remember I was looking for sermons or messages that hone in on prayer and, just how to do it. Because, when you grow up in church, they say, or even at, maybe not school, Catholic school, I went to Catholic school, pray before you eat, Our Father before you go to bed, but it's a lot more than that. God is holy, right? But He's also with us, and He actually wants to hear how your day's going. He wants to get to know you. He wants you to get to know Him. We do that through reading the Bible. We do that through prayer, fasting, worshiping, singing praises. That's really the gist of Christianity. But what I'm here for today is to discuss the fact that prayer is not meant to be perfect at all. It is meant to be honest and true. And my mom was telling me that it's better to watch someone live out their faith than to just watch sermons all day. I like sermons, but I agree. So I'm going to give you some perspective into my own life. Let's see. Okay, so I smashed my phone on Sunday, and today is Thursday. I still don't have a phone. I'm actually waiting until the, Galaxy Note 10 comes out next week. So that's exciting. And, yeah, this week has been a roller coaster of emotions. Not because I don't have my phone, but because it's just a lot of pressure. Because I am leaving one job to start another one, and there's this question of, is it the right thing to do? Is this God's will? And it's easier when it's something that you know is wrong. Like, should I lie or should I tell the truth? Duh. But then there are other times when you have two options set before you, and neither one is wrong. It's just on you. And in those instances, for me, I need to pray. It's like, what is it? What is that thing called? It's not, I want to get the thing right, so hang on. Let me see. The road not taken. It's exactly like that. I'm in college right now, and when I was in 6th grade, when I first heard the poem, I thought it meant the road less traveled. It was really about the road not taken, the name of the poem itself. Both of the paths were actually equally trodden, and you can read that in the poem. But he chose one that he basically did it on a whim. Right? And then later on in life, he retells the story that he took the road less traveled, which wasn't the case at the time. And this is a similar situation where it could go either way. And I'm just hoping that, it turns out fine. And that's what I've been praying about this week. That's one of the things, that I'm not making the wrong choices. But the other things that I pray about, I think the more important things are the personal ones. So I was talking to my ex yesterday, He's one that I have really had to forgive for a lot of things. And you know what? Maybe the next segment will be about forgiveness. But for now, he's not a Christian. He doesn't believe in evolution either, and that's fine. He's more agnostic than anything. And we were talking about God and about prayer. And essentially, the way he lives his life is, it doesn't matter why we're here. It just matters that we live to the best of our ability. We try to be a good person, and whatever happens after happens. And you know what? That's how most people, I'd like to think, live. I know my dad lives like that. His goal is to treat others with respect, and, you know, be kind and do the right things. And that's as far as I know, because we don't get into those discussions. Because when I was 13, I sent him a letter that said, "Dear Dad, you're going to hell." And it just went on from there, and it went in, and it was terrible, and I completely regret it. Like, I'm gonna live my whole life regretting that letter. But it did teach me how to approach evangelism, how to approach people, and not to just outright bring the wrath of God down on them. Because honestly, when it comes down to it, between my mother, who was like the most religious, judgmental Christian I've ever known, and my dad, who's just doing his best, he was there for me a lot more than my mom was, even now. So, yeah, it's really not about the judgmental aspects of Christianity and pointing fingers, and because that's Pharisee living. That's literally what they did when they found that woman who was committing that sexual sin. Yeah, pointing fingers. And Jesus did not do that. So, I am completely diverging from the point. Prayer. I was talking to my ex, and we were discussing it and how he decides to live his life. And he does believe that he was created. His perspective, he believes that we were created and then abandoned to do whatever it is we want, which is where the free will comes in. He made it seem, his vibe is that maybe we're some kind of experiment, like in Us, that movie Us, where we're basically made, and then the experiment failed and we were left to our own devices to fend for ourselves. That's what he thinks our existence is. And everyone is free to their own beliefs, and I think it's kind of awesome. You know, I like to hear other perspectives besides evolution or creation by God. And that's weird from a Christian perspective, but I want to know. I want to know what people think, you know? And, you know, that gives me more perspective. That gives me more angles to look at when I look at Christianity. But the point is, you know, I did discuss my perspective about all of the intricate detail that went into this world, that went into the universe, that went into my own body. Biology is crazy, okay? And so I'm going into detail about all of that, and how we're all unique with our own fingerprints. Each one of us has our own, even identical twins do not have the same fingerprint. We are so special. And I know it feels like we're not, because life kind of tells us that we're not. We work, we eat, we sleep, and it's a cycle that just keeps going, and it leads nowhere. We're on a hamster wheel. So how can we feel special? How can we feel important or valued? But the truth is, we are. But that's not the point. Anyway, I was telling him about all those things, and how I believe, I don't care who created us, we can look at it as an alien who created us. We can look at it as God who created us, some spiritual force. I don't care. Whoever did it, I believe, values us. And in the Bible, he values us. He knew us before we were formed in our mother's womb. He was thinking of us before the creation of time and space itself. That's my perspective. I shared that perspective with him. And so anyway, the point is, I believe that this person who went out of his way to do all of this for us, every day of our life, to make sure that the world is still spinning on its axis. I believe that he wants to get to know us personally, and I believe that he wants us to get to know him personally, and that's it. Okay? That's what I believe Christianity is. I think it's more than just following some rules in a book, and I do believe also that the law is something that Jesus came to fulfill, and that it's not something to completely ignore and abandon either. But I also believe that we are, that his grace is sufficient, and that he knows that we're imperfect, which is why he even came to save us from ourselves. And all of that can be addressed through prayer. If I'm struggling with something that I know that he isn't in favor of, be it fornication, which is having sex before marriage, be it lying, which is something that I deal with at work, or in general, I've always been pretty good at lying, and I do tell, I make it my business to be an honest person, but if I want to get out of something, I tell the simplest lie. I keep it as close to the truth as I can, and I get out of it. And that's a sin. That's wrong. But I will pray about it, and I will seek counsel. And there are times where I will ignore the counsel that I seek and do what I want anyway. And God works with me on that. We talk about it later. We discuss the whys. We discuss the how can I do better next time? How can I continue to grow? But it's not even just about that. It's about different situations. When God blesses me, like he did yesterday, I'm getting the new phone next week. So I've been no phoning it for, broke the phone on Sunday, today's Thursday, so it's been a few days now. I believe I'm going to go 12 days without a phone. And I was thinking about getting a prepaid one at Walmart because it's been kind of hard. And yeah, he blessed me with a $77 Walmart gift card because I was a part of some lawsuit that's been going on for many years that I didn't even know I was a part of, and that happened. That's awesome. Thank you, Jesus. You know, I was telling my ex about that, and he was like, oh no, that wasn't God, that was, you were already part of it. But the thing was, I was praying about it, trying to figure out if I should get one or not, and you know, the next day, here it is. It could have been a year from now. It could have been another month. But instead it comes right when I'm asking, you know, hey Lord, I don't have the money to get another phone. I have bills to pay. I have rent to pay. But that happened. Praise God. Good moments, you know. Thankfulness. That it's important to be thankful. And then the other parts are the crappy places where we all end up. Today, I was talking to my mom, and it got ugly. Okay, so here's the whole situation, because I didn't tell you. She's willing to take care of the person that, my VIP, the person that I care for, the autistic lady, who is also nonverbal. My mom is a little apprehensive about it, because she likes to be able to understand And when someone's nonverbal, you really can't understand. Um, and then when they're a grown adult and it's not a toddler or a baby, it can be a little unnerving, even for me at times. So there was a lot of apprehension about the decision or agreement to babysit, which she did put out. She put forth on Monday, and I was praying about it on Sunday. And this is my God, because my mom was so against it, and now she's open to it. Saturday, I plan to go skydiving if all things work out. So, and today's Friday, by the way, it's not Thursday. I'm forgetting days. So it's been a while since I've gone without a phone. Anyway, so I'm going tomorrow. She started getting upset. She started complaining about, oh, you should have rescheduled. You knew I didn't want to do this. But on Monday, she offered to do this. And the bashing, the continual beating me down, this is your fault, blaming me, making me feel like crap. That's something I need to pray about. And he gave me perspective. My mom is afraid. She hasn't been in this situation. It's making her feel uncomfortable. She's not feeling capable within herself. And that helped me understand that I need to be more understanding. And not just take it personally like I have been. Like I'm at fault, like I'm a bad person for needing help. Because that's not the case. And the other thing is that I have to keep reminding myself is that in those situations, I'm not alone. When I feel worthless or useless, I am not alone. And neither are you. I'm gonna start crying. I don't know why I have that ugly cry face, but I do apparently. Anyway, let's talk about anger, because that was another topic that I discussed with Max. He told me that we can thank God for the good things, but the way that it goes with Christians is that some don't blame God for the bad things, or, we just look at it like, oh, that person had free will, so I can't really blame God for what they did to me. It was them who chose to do what they did. And sometimes that is the case, but sometimes it's also a Job situation where God allows a lot of crap to rain down on our lives so that we can be tested, tempted, see what we do, and sometimes that feels like a cosmic diss or a slap in the face, or like, why? That's the biggest question in it. Why? And that's something to pray about. Absolutely. And honestly, you can let it rain down on God. Job did. And that was his sin. And I read up on that. I was like, what? He didn't do anything wrong, but he didn't trust God, and he was upset with God, and he was starting to blame him and get really agitated near the end. And it makes sense because all of his children were killed. Him and his wife, they got boils and got sick, and he lost his money, he lost his livestock, all of this stuff. It was just awful. And I see nothing wrong with questioning God personally. Honestly, it is best to trust him and to go through it with him and to continue to praise and worship and read your Bible and stay faithful and loyal. But I live in the real world and I suffer, and you do too. And he can take it. He can take your rage. He can take your pain. He can take your disappointment. He can take your loneliness. He can take whatever it is you're feeling, and He will show you and guide you and teach you. And He doesn't always tell you why. I'm still going through something that I've been going through for the past 12 years, and I still don't know why, but the sermons and the people tell me that, and the Bible even has scriptures in it. I will add those in the little info thing, that sometimes we go through things so that we can help others go through it too and survive it. And yeah, and that's kind of a good thing, because it means that your pain and suffering wasn't pointless. It means that other people are going to learn and grow through the same things as well, because you're going there helping them get through it. But what about those times when it's not something that you want to look at and say, like someone dies completely unexpectedly, or you get cancer, or just so many things are happening all at once that it's like, why are you doing this? I still curse sometimes in my prayers, and no, it's not good because God is holy. But you know what? Jesus is holy too, but He also knows me, and that's the most important thing. Honestly, the most important thing you can do in Christianity, in prayer, is be yourself, be honest, be genuine. Please be honest. If you're still cursing, curse in your prayers. I don't care. God, He wants you to be real. He wants your heart. He wants to help you, guide you through. So let Him. Be yourself. Don't be all. Okay? Be real. Be real with yourself. Be real with Him. I had a time, a week or two ago, where I was really depressed, and I couldn't even figure out why, which is usually the case in depression. And I kind of was trying to block God from that part. I was putting on this front in prayer, still trying to be thankful, still trying to be righteous and good, and I would apologize for being sad. I was like, because good things, even now, like yesterday, He was doing these wonderful things for me. When it came to the gift card, when it came to me ministering to my ex, giving me words to speak to other people, and I'm just feeling down about, I don't even know what it was, and I'm praying like, oh, I know that You're being so good to me, and I'm sorry that I'm sad, but I am. And the thing is, at least for me, there's usually a root, and sometimes I have to dig, and sometimes that's exactly what prayer is. I do prayer journals. I'm better at writing than speaking. Always. I won't even go into that, but anyway, I would write it all down. The feelings why I think I might be feeling sad, what's going on in my current life, and He gave me clarity about it, and in that clarity, I was able to take the steps that I needed to get back out of that. And sometimes, praise and worship, that also brings you out of the misery that you're feeling. At least it has for me. But there are times where I just don't want to. There are times where I just don't want to listen to Christian music all day. I want to listen to my music, and guess what? I do. And you know what? That's okay. I grew up believing that if I listen to non-Christian music, that makes me less of a Christian. It doesn't. Ideally, you don't want to listen to, crap, or, like music that accentuates sex, or violence, or a lot of cursing. Yes, no, you don't want to do that. But, be real. Be real with yourself. Be real with God. It is a process. It is a lifetime process. You're going to go through phases where you think you're moving forward and you see yourself taking steps back, but you have to keep going. He is going to walk with you no matter what. Through it all. Through the good, the bad, the happy, the sad. So don't give up. And don't beat yourself up during those times where you feel like you're not doing enough, you're not being good enough, because you're never going to be good enough. That is a fact. You can follow every law in Deuteronomy and Leviticus and Numbers, if there are laws in there. I don't really read the Old Testament, to be honest. It's been a while. You can be perfect. You can be a Pharisee, and it's about your heart. It's all about the heart. So remember that. And when you pray, remember that. Open up your heart and be real. Be honest. Because he already knows anyway. So there's no point in faking it. Don't. And yeah, I'm going to leave it at that. Because I've been emotional enough today. But if you have any questions, comments, takeaways, scriptures you'd like to share, prayer requests, let's do that. Let's support each other. I want this to be a supportive environment for growth and maturity in the faith. And even if you're not in the faith, let's talk. If you're angry about your past, about the things that you've gone through, and you want to yell at God and be like, you allowed me, Joyce Myers, she was molested, raped. At one point in a sermon, she even mentioned that her dad allowed a police officer to come in and rape her as well. That's a lot for anyone. And she's gone through a lot. That's a long journey. But you know what? She is proof that you can still come out of whatever it is you've been through. So, this is a place for healing and growth, not a place for condemnation. We can confront different things. We can discuss what the Bible says about different things. But above all else, let's love each other and help each other, okay? Because we're all human, we're all suffering, we're all imperfect, and that's okay. Alright, I'll see you later.